Good morning everyone. Today we are going to cover inflation and related issues. First thing first, what is inflation? Inflation means increase in price of a commodity. Increase in price. Increase in price of a particular item. So it is inflation. In simplest term, general rise in price. Rise in price. Now there are two major players that play a key role in deciding price of a particular item. Price. How price is decided? It is decided on the basis of demand and on the basis of supply. So if demand, that is say D, supply, that is say S. If demand is higher than supply, D is greater than S. In that case, the situation is that more number of people are willing to purchase that particular item. Suppose this pen. Now, what will happen if more number of people are interested in buying this pen? Or another example would be say tomato. So suppose, again hypothetical example, that the total production or supply of tomato for this season is say 10 kg and requirement or demand is say 12 kg. What will happen? The price of tomato will increase. Why so? Because more number of people are willing to buy that particular item, that is tomato in this case. So inflation is general increase in price. Inflation. That means price rise. Rise in price. The opposite of it will be deflation. Deflation. Deflation means downfall or price reduction. Price reduction. Let's consider one example. Again, the example of same tomato. So, say general price level. General price level means moderate price level, or in most of the situations the price is more or less this price, that is average price. So suppose it is say 40 rupee per kg. Now if this price increases to say 60 rupee per kg, that will be inflation. If this price reduces to say 30 rupee per kg, that will be deflation. So inflation means increment in price, deflation means decrement or reduction in price. Then there is another term, disinflation. Disinflation. It means inflation is there, but rate of inflation is declining or reducing or decreasing. So again, coming back to the previous situation, original price or general price level or moderate price was 40 rupee per kg. Increment in price will lead to inflation. That means suppose 60 rupee kg is one situation or scenario A, Another scenario is say 50 rupee per kg, then say 45 rupee per kg. That is situation B and situation C. So if we compare situation B from situation A, so the rate of inflation is decreasing. That means, of course, the price is above general price level, but the rate is decreasing. This is a situation of disinflation. 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 Let me summarize it in this manner. Suppose this is general price level. General price level. Price level. Now, say in our example it was 40 rupee per kg. So if price is increasing this way and then it is going this way. So in this case the point A will be example of inflation. Point B will be example of disinflation. Disinflation. Point C will be example of deflation. Deflation. Now, after deflation, if price again increases and cross the general price level, then it will be reflation. Reflation. Okay. So this is the situation of reflation. Reflation means rise in price again. Rise in price again. Okay. So this is inflation and deflation. So suppose we had considered that normal price level is 40 rupee per kg. In this case we can consider 60 rupee per kg. Here we can consider 50, 40 or anything between 40 and 60, say 50 rupee per kg. Here it would be say 30 rupee per kg. And again reflation means here the price is again increasing. So this is inflation, deflation, disinflation and reflation. Now we are going to understand the basic cause of inflation. Causes of inflation. Or we can say types of inflation. Types of inflation. Types of inflation. Okay. So first type is demand pull. Demand pull inflation. Demand pull inflation. Second type is cost push inflation. Cost push inflation. Demand pull inflation means the demand is higher than supply, and because of increasing demand, the price has increased. The price has increased because more number of people are buying that commodity and there is a short supply. There is a short supply of that item. One simple example would be, say, flight tickets during festival season. So what will happen? During festival season, everyone would want to book a flight, and therefore, everyone in the sense, most of the people, so they would want that they need to book a flight ticket, and therefore demand has increased. Now the seats are limited, therefore the price will increase. Similarly, we can take the example of, say, train tickets as well, or price of hotels during vacation season or vacation period. So if demand will increase and if supply is more or less same, in that case the price will increase, and this type of increment in price will be demand pull inflation. That means demand is the main factor responsible for increment in price. Another type is cost push inflation. So what is cost push inflation? Cost push inflation. Cost push inflation. Let's consider one example. Suppose this pen, the cost of production of this pen is say 10 rupees, and it is sold in the market after a profit of 2 rupees. That means it is sold at the price level of 12. Now what will happen if the cost of production has increased? Cost of production has increased. It could be because of increment in the price of raw material, increment in the price of raw material, increment in the price of raw material. So in that case, suppose previously it was 10 rupee, that means 10 rupee was the cost of manufacturing. Now suppose that price has increased to 13. So after a profit of same 2 rupees, now the new cost will be 15 rupees. It should be noted that in this case we are considering demand is more or less same. So demand has not increased, but there is an increment in the price, and this increment is because of increased cost of production. And this type of inflation is known as cost push inflation. So far we have discussed what is inflation, what is deflation, what is disinflation, what is reflation, and what is demand pull inflation, and what is cost push inflation. Now we are going to understand one more important point, that is aggregate demand. What is aggregate demand? That means total demand or gross demand in economy. So aggregate demand will be C plus I plus G plus X minus M. What is C? It is consumption. That means the items which are purchased by public like you and me. So that is part of consumption. Suppose I have purchased this pen, so that is a demand. Now someone is manufacturing this. I stands for investment by private players or by businessmen, private players. G stands for government expenditure. X stands for export. M stands for import. Now first thing first, what is import? Import means we are buying something from other country. Export means we are selling something to other country. So This is the aggregate demand. That means this will be the total demand in economy. Total demand will be dependent on following factors. A, it will be dependent on consumption. That means what public is consuming. Suppose everyone in present era is using smartphone. So no one is using, say, memory cards, because now the phones have inbuilt memory. So is there any demand of memory cards? Yes, demand is very low. Why? Because very low number of people use it. In back date, say 5 to 10 years ago, this was in huge demand. So it depends on the public consumption. Second thing is investment. Investment, that means investment by businessmen. So suppose, say, a businessman want to start a new factory. So in order to start new factory, they need some raw material. So there will be demand of raw material. They are going to hire new people. So there will be employment. Now, more number of people will be employed. Since they are employed, they are going to receive salary. And since they are going to receive salary, they are going to spend that money. So therefore, there will be a demand. So higher will be the private investment, higher will be the employment generation, and higher will be the demand in economy. Similarly, G stands for government expenditure. I is investment by private players, G is investment by the government. So both will have same impact. Then X stands for export. That means what will be impact of export on aggregate demand. And M stands for import. Now, let me just simplify it. Suppose this is India. Now India is manufacturing something. Say these pens, these digital pens. Now India is exporting these pens to other nations. What will happen? Because these pens are manufactured in India, therefore they are providing employment. Since they are providing employment, the employees will get salary. These employees are going to spend this money, and therefore there will be demand generation in the economy. So that is the entire cycle. So now coming back to the list of topics which we have covered today, 7th would be aggregate demand. In the next lecture, we are going to discuss aggregate supply, its impact on employment, and so on. That's all.